All right, let's take a little bit of a dive into the deep end of the pool of hypocrisy. I know hypocrisy doesn't matter on the American right anymore. I know that they will say anything and then say the opposite if it becomes politically convenient to make a different claim. I know, I'm very much aware of that, but this is sort of a new low. Some of you may be familiar with Republican Congressman Dan Crenshaw. Dan Crenshaw is a military veteran. And while he was in the military, due to an injury, he lost an eye and he wears an eye patch over one eye. Dan Crenshaw's political ideas are absolutely terrible. I find his views on almost every political issue disgusting. But we don't make fun of him for having lost an eye. That doesn't make any sense. That's vile. That's gross. Well, this weekend, I'm sorry, not this weekend, earlier this week. No, it was this weekend. Tucker Carlson referred to Congressman Dan Crenshaw as eyepatch McCain, ridiculing his physical appearance as a result of the fact that he lost an eye through military service, service, which Tucker Carlson, of course, has never done. Notably, Tucker said this while he was interviewing former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, who also is a military veteran. Listen to what Tucker Carlson had to say. If you're watching, check out the sort of non-reaction from Tulsi.
The more I think about it, it takes a lot of gall for eyepatch McCain to attack moms who are worried about baby formula as, quote, pro-Russia. I mean, that's one of the most outrageous things I think I've ever heard now that I'm thinking about it. I mean, why not just answer the question? Why the attacks? What does that tell you?
Eyepatch McCain, eyepatch McCain. Well, it turns out that this is not just generally a contradiction of Tucker's typical view of we respect the military and people who have served the country and all this different stuff. Tucker has actually specifically attacked people in the past for making fun of Dan Crenshaw's eye patch. We have video of this. The guys over at Midas Touch actually made it a side-by-side. And on the left of your screen, you're going to see what Tucker had to say back in November of 2018. In November of 2018, comedian Pete Davidson kind of made fun of Dan Crenshaw's eye patch. And Tucker attacked him. And then on the right, you will again see what Tucker said over the weekend. Take a look at this.
Texas congressional candidate Dan Crenshaw lost an eye to an IED in Afghanistan on Saturday. Actor Pete Davidson mocked him as one of the, quote, really gross people running for office this year.
Oh, my God.
He added, I'm sorry. I know he lost his eye in war or whatever.
Now, understand that even in saying that, Pete Davidson isn't even really making fun of the eye patch. Pete Davidson was saying Dan Crenshaw's a disgusting political candidate. And he's saying, I know he lost an eye in war or whatever. Sure, the or whatever is callous, but he's not even really making fun of the fact that he wears an eye patch. He's just saying, eye patch aside, I find him to be a disgusting candidate. And Tucker thought that that was offensive and said it was inappropriate. And then again, here's Tucker on it was indeed Monday night.
Yeah, so that's their position. And they're not hiding it anymore. Useful for you to know. The more I think about it, it takes a lot of gall for eyepatch McCain to attack moms who are worried about baby formula as, quote, pro-Russia. I mean,
what a guy, huh? What a guy. It's actually much worse for Tucker to do this than Pete Davidson, to be perfectly frank. Like, aside from the point that Pete Davidson wasn't even really making fun of it, he was just a little bit dismissive of, okay, I mean, he lost an eye in war or whatever, but he's still a bad candidate. Callous, but not making fun of it. It's worse for Tucker to do this because Tucker knows Dan Crenshaw's story. He knows Dan Crenshaw's biography. He knows exactly how Dan Crenshaw lost his eye. And I think at the time, at least Pete Davidson had a very limited understanding of Dan Crenshaw's situation. But I know you know this. Pointing out hypocrisy no longer has an impact. When we are up against people whose view is win at all costs, attack the other side at all costs, even for things that we do. When that's their approach, when that's their perspective, this type of hypocrisy doesn't actually matter. Making fun of Dan Crenshaw's eye patch used to be a terrible sin when Pete Davidson did it. But now it's fine because Crenshaw said something Tucker Carlson didn't like, and Tulsi Gabbard also didn't like what Dan Crenshaw said. And again, I'm not defending Crenshaw as a politician. Crenshaw's horrible. His policy ideas are terrible. He spreads all sorts of disinformation about economics and what he believes socialism to be. We've done a ton, maybe 5-6 different clips debunking the things Crenshaw has said. But these are the people that supposedly respect the troops, support the troops, honor military service. Eyepatch McCain. And by the way, McCain, I can only assume that Tucker is maybe seeing Crenshaw as in the line of the late Senator John McCain, which I can only imagine and infer is also not great as far as Tucker is concerned. I don't know. We know that late in his life, John McCain had some kind of departures from some elements of the Republican Party. It's all vile. It's all gross. And his viewers will never, ever, ever hold him accountable for it. One of our sponsors is Crush Organics. These guys are awesome. They support the show. They have an excellent collection of premium grade organic CBD products. Crush Organics has your oils, your topical creams, gummies. They even have these great experience gift boxes, which are great for sending to someone. This is the one I received, really beautifully packaged. Crush has a daytime CBD blend in peppermint, as well as a nighttime blend. Lots of people report CBD being helpful for sleep. Crush's CBD topical cream can be used on joints and muscles. Definitely try the gummies too. Those are great. Some people prefer the gummies over the oils. Crush Organics care a lot about quality, so you can feel good about getting your CBD from them. They're always dropping new products. Pay attention to the site. And Crush Organics are fans of the David Pakman Show, just like you, I hope. So they're giving you a massive discount, 40% off all products. Go to crushorganics.us and use the code PAKMAN to save 40%. The link is down below.